Welcome to our mock off season for the Chicago Bears 2.0. We did one previously, but the Bears have made a slew of moves. Free agency opens on Monday. Officially, well, technically, the new league year is Wednesday, March 12th. But March 10th is when I guess teams can really officially legally tamper. So now with the additions of Joe Tooney, Durham Smythe, Jonah Jackson, the Bears also re-signed Amen Agbagbamiga and Josh Blackwell. We're going to be using the effective cap space. So honestly, this is going to be more of a mock draft than a mock offseason because Dobbs, the Bears have already pretty much done a good amount of spending. When the Bears opened up, I believe they were top 5 in cap space. They're still top half of the league, but they're not going to be spending crazy. I do think they're going to do a couple big splashes. They're probably going to do two more big splashes, but right now they're starting at around $43 million in cap space. We're going to go through our free agent signings. We're going to do our mock draft, and then you'll see our final roster. So first, I think we're going to start off with the big ticket item that everybody is kind of expecting, and that's Drew Dalman. We gave him a 3-year, $45 million deal. We signed him last mock offseason. We did for about $2.5 million less, but I think the price tag is going to be a little bit more. It's about $15 million a year on average. And this completes the interior O-line rebuild for this year to protect Caleb Williams. Dobbs, do you think Dalman would be a smart signing after already dedicating $16 million to Joe Tooney and $17.5 million to Jonah Jackson?
Hunter, if we take care of the line, we will be just fine. And you know how I'm going. You know me in
Yeah.
my trenches. Like this has to be the main priority. Like jokes aside, and it's not even a joke. You take care of the line and you'll be just fine. This has to be priority number one, Hunter. I see no way that this isn't the first thing you try to get done. Besides the amazing slew, like you said, of moves we already have made, but there's just no way around it. This has to be priority number one. Everything else besides this, because like I said when we were off camera before we started recording, the Bears could make no other moves besides just signing Drew Dalman, and I would still say it's been an incredibly successful offseason because of what we knew we had to accomplish. Yes,
Right.
ideally, we don't want to leave that much cap on the table if that was the only move. But even if, in a weird universe, that's the only thing that the Bears got done the rest of the offseason, besides the draft, it's still a major W of an offseason to me. So the bottom line is you got to get this done. And if not, you got to find a hard pivot fast. But this has got to be where you start.
I do think if they don't get Dahlman, they'll pivot to Evan Brown, who played with the Lions with Ben Johnson. He was also with the Cardinals this last year. Now, you would save some money there, but I do think, for all the people that are going to say, Dahlman is not, the top center in the league and you're going to pay him good money. The reality is that's what free agency is. You're paying average players, good players, great money, good money because you have to fill a hole. Now, with signing Jonah Jackson or trading for Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney, you have incredible amounts of flexibility. And especially if you sign Drew Dalman for that $15 million a year, yeah, it's a cap hit, but he's making less than both your guards. And you have 2 tackles still on rookie deals. You're probably not bringing back Braxton Jones. And it's just like, if they do this, you can't go and point at Ryan Poles and say he didn't fix the offensive line. Now, do they still need to draft offensive linemen to develop and learn? Yes, that needs to happen. But the reality is your protection of Caleb Williams is complete. And you had 3 interior offensive line positions to fill going into free agency. Now, before free agency starts, you have 1. Like, the flexibility the Bears have, this granted them, they didn't put themselves in a corner this year, and that is very respectable. Our next signing, we are going to be signing Tim Patrick, 1 year, $1.5 million. He was with Ben Johnson in Detroit last year, and we know he's dealt with a slew of injuries, but I think with what Ben Johnson, how he utilized him last year, he would be a good wide receiver 3 for the Bears, wide receiver 4, and just add some much needed depth to the wide receiver room.
No, and you just talk about a sure-handed guy, just does his job, gets right in there, right, does the dirty work type of guy. Like, that's what the Bears need too. And that's what every team needs. He's the one of those guys that's kind of universal scheme, And if you can get him on a cheap deal like this, and he's right, he doesn't have to play tons of snaps. He doesn't have to be out there for a ton of the game. He just has to be out there to do his job. It's exactly what you're signing him for on this cheap deal, and he knows the system. So
For a similar deal, we're going back to the MVS. Well, if you watched our last mock off season, we signed MVS. Speed is going to be valued in free agency. That is to me what the Tutu Atwell deal was. 1 year, $10 million. Is he worth $10 million a year? No, but you need a speedster on the roster. The Bears don't have it. Tutu is out the window, so that dream is dead. Valdez Scantling was averaging what, like 22 yards a catch last year with Derek
23
Carr?
if we're rounding up. Yeah, 22.6. And I was gonna say, Hunter, I just was funny. You read my mind. I was looking it up. I'm shocked he didn't lead the league. I have to double who led the league in yards per reception at that point. Because if
I
he
don't
didn't
know.
lead it at 22.3, hold on a minute. I'm gonna do some side research.
It's
But
like
keep going.
we'll talk about tight end more when it comes to the draft, but that was kind of when I was learning about Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. I think he didn't have a ton of catches, but his average catch was like 22, 23. So it was an explosive player. And I just think for the price and kind of what you need on this team, he would fit, and he doesn't have to be a long-term option. The Bears can draft one. I don't know, honestly, depending on what kind of free agent moves they make at wide receiver. I don't know if wide receiver is in the cards this year in the draft. I think it's maybe a next year thing, which is fine because it's wide receiver 3. It's not wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I would argue that right now, filling the tight end 2 role, because Durham Smythe is tight end 3 in my opinion, is more important than filling the wide receiver 3 and 4 role. But that's what we do for 1 year here with Tim Patrick and MVS.
No, absolutely. And again, that's kind of the thing is you get two very different style of guys, but that's a huge W, especially when you already have two very carved out roles for DJ Moore and Rome Odunze.
Moving into our next big splash, probably our last big splash because we're running out of salary cap space. I do think the Bears are going to restructure some deals to have some more room to work. Khalil Mack, a 2-year, $45 million deal, kind of similar to the Danielle Hunter deal, 2-year, $50 million. I would imagine all of this is guaranteed. 22 and a half a year. I mean, he's 34 years old. He was still extremely productive. It's not going to hamper you long term, but you desperately need edge help opposite of Montez Sweat. Could the reunion happen in Chicago? We know Ryan Poles traded him for a 2nd and a 6th to Chargers. It's full circle. The rebuild's complete.
Well, he was part of the come up, the rebuild, and now back on the come up again. It's the roller coaster arc, Hunter. But look, jokes aside, and really just why would this be so crucial? Like we already kind of saying, to me, we were saying we were off camera, like this unlocks Montez Sweat, right? Like this, yes, Montez Sweat we've seen, right, come initially look really good. Then last year, after he got the bag, we would agree for what we're paying him, right? That's not what we want. Like we want more. We want Montez Sweat to be more unlocked. And if you put someone like Khalil Mack on the other side, all of a sudden you can't come in and say that, right, as a defense, your focal point is going to be Montez Sweat anymore.
Right.
And then you got to worry about Gervon Moore. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like Khalil Mack could be the key to unlocking everybody on the Bears defense all at once.
I think the biggest thing, Dobbs, is the reality is Montez Sweat is probably a very high-end edge 2. Like probably top tier edge 2.
No, you're spot on.
When it comes to edge 1, we just don't have that guy. And the realistic point about signing Khalil Mack and going kind of all out on the edge here is, mind you, this effective cap space is after they sign the rookie class. So this is really kind of what the Bears are working with, about $43 million. You can go ahead and go sign like a middle of the road edge or a middle of the road IDL.
It's not moving the needle.
It's not going to move the needle. It's not going to do enough to truly make this defense really well, really good. And Dobbs and I talked about it. Like, Dobbs, you want to give your explanation on why we didn't go for Milton Williams?
Oh, absolutely. And again, those who watched a lot of the Eagles last year would agree with this. And right, again, if you're coming off just watching the Super Bowl, you're going to be saying, what, like he's so much younger. You wouldn't have to spend as much on him. But here's the reality, as you agree, Hunter. Right. He was what we'll say was, and not that he's not a great talent, he is, but he was a heavy beneficiary of playing on the best D-line in the whole league and playing next to Jalen Carter.
Hey, we have someone like that on the offensive side, DeAndre Swift. He heavily benefited from running behind the best offensive line. Got DeAndre Swift paid, got Miles Sanders paid. Miles Sanders, I don't even think plays anymore. I think he just bides his time in Carolina, but it's the point. It's the point of like who he's playing with.
No, well, again, and here's the thing. Not that, and I'm not trying to give him no credit. I think Bill Williams is by in and of himself, he's a great pass rusher. But he looks even better than he is when you're next to Jalen. And not just that, but when you have a slew of amazing rushers, the Eagles have what we would call right, and they're more than elite in the trenches. They have been prioritizing for years, and that last year hoisting the trophy was the culmination of years of putting in picks and compensation into what group matters most. And we preach, Hunter, it's not just the O line, it's the D line. You take care of the line,
Yeah, you'll
everything will
be
be
just fine.
just fine. And here's the thing about it though, is Bill Williams, again, he's awesome. But just to make a long story short, you be paying him more than I believe he's worth. And all of a sudden, like we were saying too, kind of in like in a comparison to Khalil Mack, like you bring Khalil Mack over, he's the focal point, no big deal. He's been that for years. He's used to that, and he can take on that responsibility. But you bring Milton Williams over, and now he is the same thing. He is all of a sudden
It would kind of be like the Montez Sweat thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, yes. And that would either way would help Montez a lot. But it's like, I just don't think he's built to be that number one guy like Khalil is, because Khalil has shown he is for 10 years straight. Milton hasn't even shown he can be that guy once. Right. He's coming off the best game of his career. I will not take anything away from his Super Bowl champ, but I just think you're getting way more value with Khalil, and that's just the bottom line.
I think the biggest thing too is like Andrew Billings is a very high end role player, but I wouldn't consider him even like a Montez Sweat tier. Like he's gonna eat up space as a run stopper. Like he's a good player that I want on my defensive line. Our team's game planning for him a ton. They probably make note of him, but they're not worried about him like they are a Dexter Lawrence or a Quinnen Williams. Like it's not the type of player he is. And Gervon Dexter hopefully could be that. I don't think he's going to be at that level. I could see him being better than Andrew Billings. They're different players, but in terms of skill-wise, I could see him developing that type of player. The reality is they don't have enough inside, enough juice inside where Milton Williams is going to push the needle. Khalil Mack may push the needle. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, well, and also the thing about it is just like Milton Williams is, right, he's just a better pass rusher than run stopper. And yeah, the Bears need pass rushers, but more than anything, we also need guys that are also elite run stoppers. It's exactly what Khalil is. He's an elite run stopper and pass rusher. We need to prioritize. And just, it's just the bottom line. Khalil's shown he can be that guy. Like
that's the other thing with Khalil Mack versus like a Josh Sweat is it's kind of the same thing where it's like Josh Sweat, while I think is probably going to command similar money to a Khalil Mack or even more, you're also going to be signing him to a longer-term deal. You already have Montez Sweat signed to a long-term deal. My thing is get Khalil Mack, draft and develop edges, and then you don't have to exorbitant, I think that's the right word, edge contracts going throughout Caleb's rookie contract. I do think that the reality is this is probably the best option for a 2-year kind of stopgap edge who can play at a very high level and unlock the highest part of Montez Sweat. Now, this is our last move free agency. Very short, but the Bears have already been very active. So this little screen, like imagine Agbamiga is in there, Blackwell's in there, Durham Smythe's in there. You'll see it on the next screen once we get there. Next. Now this, I'm going to be very honest. Probably a little bit of a reach, okay? Calais Campbell's pretty old, and he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Dolphins last year. We need an IDL guy. He can move around. You can get him for cheap. He's old. It's a 1-year thing. Just add some juice on the interior. You don't got to play him every snap. The Bears kind of need that, and with the limited salary, now I do think the Bears will probably restructure, so we'll probably be working with a little bit more than where we're at now. But for what we see on the websites and until everything's structured out, I don't want to work with cap that's not there. So if Campbell's willing to be a role player for the Bears, I think it's kind of a perfect fit.
No, it's like we said, Hunter. Yeah, it is a reach, but you know what? If the market's not there for him, because like we were saying, yes, ideally, I'm sure in Khalil Mack, or I said Khalil Mack, in Calais Campbell's head, he's saying to himself, I want to go to a team like the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, right? Like he's hoping he gets a call from them, right? Because, right, the Bears should be competitive next year, but ideally, or not ideally, but realistically, the chances for the Bears going from where they were to being a Super Bowl contender, it's not impossible, but it's just not likely. And if you're Khalil Mack, I keep saying Khalil, right? If you're Calais, similar enough names. I'm sorry, gang. If you're Calais, you're saying to yourself, okay, yeah, like, and I understand that that's not likely, and I am probably playing the last year of my career. And if not, it's got to be last year at this point. He's had such a long future Hall of Fame guy. But it's like you've had such a long career. How much longer are you going to be out there? You
Right.
probably are going to be prioritizing getting to a team that's for sure competing for a championship. But if that market's not there and you're willing to go to the Bears and say, you know what, that was kind of our pitch. Is it's like if you're the best, if the Bears are the best team pitching to you, you get a chance to say, you know what, we're going all in.
Right.
We got the old head D line. We're bringing Khalil. We're bringing Calais. Like, let's just make a run at it, man. And you know what? If you can get Calais on board, it's possible. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. So we had to throw it on. You know.
That will conclude our free agent signings. This is kind of a look at where we are right now. The line is finished. This offseason, our mock offseason last time, I thought was a pretty good case scenario. And we didn't talk about it really. We talked about it literally right after we recorded the Tooney Jonah Jackson video. Getting Tooney for a 2026 fourth was probably a better situation than giving up draft capital for Trey Smith and then giving him like a $25 million deal. This makes the Bears way more flexible. And I mean, right now, Tooney's the better player and he has more experience. So I think that's kind of, with the Bears not retaining Sanborn, I do think there is kind of a hole at linebacker. Agbagbamiga is probably not going to be your number 3 guy. The Bears do need to get a running back in this draft, a tight end 2, interior offensive lineman, maybe a left tackle, and defensive lineman. We have, what was it? 7 picks. So we can do it. It's just going to be a little bit tighter now. And I do wonder if listen, I'm going to say this. If Drew Dalman is signed the first day of free agency, Ashton Jeanty is plenty on the menu. On the menu.
I would agree, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. You know me, though. It's like, you know my thing. Like, especially if you get Dalman, though, it's like, hey, all of a sudden, DeAndre Swift, it could be rushing for, you know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously it's not ideal, but like, it changes a lot. It changes a lot. So it's like, yeah, you could have Jeanty come in and have an Ezekiel Elliott type rookie season. But it's like, I just, me, I'm still all about my trenches. But we'll see though, Hunter. I'm all in because Jeanty is my guy. So it's not like it's not that I don't want to. It's just like, it's just so hard to draft running back in the first 15 picks. Like it's like against my, like what I believe in. But you know what? We'll see though. Like we're gonna see the mock. We'll see what we're looking at on the board.
Let's get into it. My dad literally just texted me and said, "Oh, maybe we should trade for Trey Hendrickson." As that's a discussion that Bears fans are having right now.
Third rounder only. Bears fans, no second, no first.
I would do, and this would kind of pin us next year, but a 2026 third.
Yeah, I like anything third. If you get fourth, then rifle it. But like third highest, highest. Like,
all right, ready to get started?
I am. Just keep. Yeah, keep. We know how this goes because I can't see your screen.
Yeah. I'll let
updated. Yeah, we've done this. We know how it goes.
One of the biggest differences too, though, that helps a little bit is last mock off season we traded Swift. This one we're keeping. So depending on who's available at 10, I do think a trade down is becoming more and more likely because if you're able to pick up another second, third, or even fourth round pick, I think it gives you a lot more flexibility.
No, absolutely. Again, there's a lot of things we did differently this time, even though we did something similar. So, there's still enough variabilities, maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. There's enough variation, right? We have variation. Like we have
options.
We got options.
All right. So here we go. Right now on the board, the top guys are Tedero McMillan, Ashton Jeanty, Jade Barron, Malachi Stark, James Pierce Jr., Mike Green, Will Johnson, Luther Burden, Donovan Ezaraku, Kenneth Grant. I do think it is possible that they take edge at 10. I have really, really, really come around to the idea of trading down a little bit and taking Josh Simmons. Or because Armand Mambu is already off the table. Him and Will Campbell.
Okay, that is kind of sickening. Here's what I'm going to say. It's too early for him. So I agree. If we're doing anything, trading down, I don't have a problem with. But also, like like Genty's Genty's saying like maybe
I
it's
just
happened for a reason, Hunter. Because I like on the record too, though. You know,
I just don't think
Ted
they're getting.
McMillan is just absolutely insane. And you know
Yeah,
what? Like, yeah, we signed 2 receivers, but like, bro, Ted McMillan, DJ Moore, and Romo
I
Dunze, like
know.
all of this sudden, like,
It's
yo,
kind of
like,
crazy.
how are you game planning this? Like we have options, right? Like, you had
Yeah.
Genty, the run game's insane. You had Tet, and it's like, yo, you're not double teaming. We literally pick who you're double teaming, and everyone else is getting open, and you're still screwed. Like,
Personally, I'd like to go Josh Simmons and trade back, but
I almost feel like that just is that like to me, and it's just my personal opinion. I almost don't. I like that less than Genty because then all of a sudden we bring in the injury factor where it's like, but what if
yeah.
he's never the same? And then you look back and you're like, but we could have had Genty. And if Genty stays healthy, we know like Genty's like it's like it's like a no brainer where it's like the only thing. God forbid, I'm knocking on the wood. I promise. I don't want to be loud on the mic. I'm knocking on my table. I swear, gang. If Genty stays healthy, there's nothing that's going to stop him from being like a Pro Bowler his first year and an All Pro in the future.
And
Like,
if you build this line like him and Swift is kind of scary.
no, this would be just like the exact, pretty much the equivalent, minus the fact that the Cowboys had like 2 Hall of Famers. The Bears have 1 now, I suppose. Right, so we're getting there. But like,
Oh my
this is
God.
just like when Ezekiel Elliott came out and Zeke rushed for like 1,600 his rookie year. I mean, it's like you're very confident that it's
Let's
like, yeah, and who's going to stop him? I mean,
let's
it's
do
not.
GT. I'm down. I'm
I
down.
think you
I
know
mean,
what
I think
because
it's realistic. I think the Bears actually do want GT, and I think there was probably very real discussions in there talking about unless we fill out the O-line completely, we cannot do this. And I think that's what they did because I do think they really want him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is if you understand how incredible of a because you know me, Hunter, I don't gas running backs. I don't. Like
GT's
I
crazy.
think they're very replaceable. But Genty is a guy where you're getting a Saquon ceiling, like you're getting a prime Zeke ceiling, like you're getting a Hall of Fame caliber back ceiling. Like
And then
you
you have a
totally are.
dominant run game. Okay, yeah. Let's go with Ashton. And he's already close with Caleb and whatever. All right, I'm taking him.
No, you know what? I'm a fan of it. Like again, in most situations, I would never do this, but we're breaking the mold. And look, hey, right? We've seen how it worked out for the Lions, right? Everyone's like Jameer Gibbs. And Jameer Gibbs was not even anywhere near as highly touted of a prospect. He was highly touted, but not at all like
Not
Genty.
like this. No.
And we've seen how, I mean, Jameer Gibbs behind that line, who's stopping him? And so
Right.
Genty behind this new line, Hunter, who's stopping him? We took care of the
So
line. We're just fine.
right now at 39, Scourton's on the board. Io Manor's on the board. Tyleek Williams, Jack Besh, Xavier Watts, Trey Amos, Landon Jackson, Siobhan Ravel, Princely Uman Mielen, Shamar Turner, Alfred Collins, Braden Swinson, Jaden Higgins, Cam Scatabo, JT Tuamaloau. Now, Scourton is interesting because he's definitely the type of edge rusher that Dennis Allen would like. I do like Tyleek Williams as an interior run stuffer, and then maybe using our 3rd round pick to get like a Tate Ratledge or something like that.
No, for sure. But side note, another edge rusher though, because it is. I'm going to say this. It actually is tough for me because another edge rusher that Dennis Allen would really, really love, and any 4-3 D line would love is Landon Jackson.
I do like Landon Jackson.
Like Landon Jackson, the 6'7", 280. Like Lord have mercy, dude. Like you get him around a real.
Yeah, I don't know how
D-line
you
coach.
stop him. Yeah,
you get him in the room with the right D line coach, and it's like, I mean, especially right, like he's really not a 3-4 guy. He's a 4-3 guy. So it's like it works perfectly.
He's a better run defender than pass rusher.
No, for sure. And to me though, like we always say, that's a great sign because it's much easier to coach the pass rush into a guy than it is to coach the run stuff into a guy. You know the saying, Hunter, you got to be able to be on 1st down, 2nd down to get to 3rd down.
That's
it's
true.
like with Landon Jackson, that is the kind of guy you're getting. And that was almost kind of what was, as much as I like James Pierce, and I still do, I don't care about the whole falling rumors, all that stuff. I think the big difference between a guy like Landon and a guy like James Pierce is it's like they're almost opposites to an extent. Like James Pierce is a guy where it's like, yeah, he's on there every 3rd down, 2nd and long. But 1st down, how much faith do you have he's going to be able to get that stop or to be able to seal that edge? Versus a guy like Landon Jackson, it's the opposite. It's like, well, on 3rd down, I don't know how much he's doing. But on 1st and 2nd, I got a lot of faith he's going to be able to do his job.
I'm
And
down.
I
I'm
think
down
I
to go
just think
Landon.
for the Bears' needs, I do think I like Landon even just a bit more than Nick. You know,
Let's do.
like I think the more I watch, I think Landon fits exactly what the Bears need.
Let's go Landon Jackson here. Nick Scourton went to the Saints. I think Tyleek Williams could be a very good player to take here in the interior because I do think like we can probably wait to guard till the third round.
No, for sure. I like
I mean,
who else? So who else do we have available right now?
So it's all the same players outside of Scourton. So like Io Manor, Tyleek Williams, Jack Besh, Xavier Watts, Trey Amos, Siobhan Ravel, Princely Umamiel, and Shamar Turner, Alfred Collins, Braden Swinson, Jaden Higgins, Cam Scatabo, JT Tuimoloau. For the interior offensive line guys, and offensive tackles. Oh, Donovan Jackson is here.
See, it makes it tough because I would say
Or Ariante Ursary, Jonas Savaiya, Cameron Williams, Wyatt Mount. I think we could get Tate Ratledge later, but if Jackson was someone we wanted to target, we'd probably have to take him now. I just think like the upside of a guy like a Tyleek Williams on the interior of that defense with Andrew Billings and Gervon Dexter is very intriguing. But I'm also down to go like maybe even wide receiver, like Jack Besh is here. I mean, Xavier Watts, even the Bears need a safety. I don't know if they're going to want to take one in the second round. I doubt it. They could also look at like Jaden Higgins. I don't know. There's a lot of options that they can do. And this is the beauty of what the Bears have already done with the offensive line. You're not pinned to take guards here.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you know what? I think Tyleek is the best case scenario.
I think so too.
Especially because, right, in the scenario where we got Calais, you don't need him out there a ton. It's just kind of like, you know, an opportunity to learn this year. You don't have to play tons of reps, get acclimated. And he is a 4-3 interior kind of guy. Like, you know, you can move him around different gaps. I love it. I think that's exactly where we go right here.
All right, let's do Tyleek Williams. All right, now we're moving on to our 72nd pick. We have Tyleek Williams, Ashton Jeanty, and Landon Jackson. I think that is a pretty good haul right now. Now we're going to be sitting here at 72, our third round pick. Cam Scatabo, Ariante Ursary, Dylan Sampson, Mason Taylor. Looking at the interior offensive line, Tate Ratledge is right there. I think that's kind of the easy pick. But you also have Terrence Ferguson, Sebastian Castro, Elijah Roberts, Jonas Savaiya as well, Jalen Royals from Utah, the wide receiver, Savion Williams. I don't know. Where do you want to head here?
It's tough. I'm going to say this though, Hunter. Tate. I'm with you, but at the same time, like Mason Taylor has so much upside.
Yeah, I do like that
because we do need a tight end too. So it's tough. Like
I just think here's my thing. I don't think you cannot take an interior offensive lineman within. I think you have to take an interior offensive lineman with one of your first four picks because then you get into the situation that you've been in. You don't have any depth. You don't have any depth.
It goes back, Hunter. I can't not practice what I preach. We got to go Tate because we need that depth. That's what makes a good unit.
And I wouldn't be opposed. The only issue is like Jared Wilson is here, and I wouldn't be opposed to taking Jared Wilson. The issue is we gave Dalman how many years, so it's like you're hopefully not going to play Jared Wilson if you have Dalman. So the difference with a Tate Ratledge, or even like a Jonas Savaiya. The thing is, though, I will say this. Ratledge was 6'6", 320, which is actually pretty big. Never mind. I thought he was a little bit tinier. 6'5", 336 for Savaiya. So both of these guys are probably... The thing is, though, Ratledge is more of a true guard, and I was literally just talking about this the other day, like, I'm tired of the Bears moving people around, so I just would rather take a guard and keep him there.
No, absolutely.
Let's do Tate then. All right. So now we've addressed we've done nothing but trenches and running back. So now I think we start to look at some safeties, tight ends, wide receiver. I think that's kind of, where we're going to be looking, because Bears do need a wide receiver to develop. I think Ben Johnson's going to want to get his guy, even though I don't really think it's really in the cards this draft. If a good running back is there, I could also see them taking another back. But reality, probably wide receiver, linebacker, safety, those type of positions.
No, right.
We're still I put it kind of slow, but now we're getting to later rounds, so hopefully that speeds it up. All right. We're looking at Riley Leonard. No, I'm just kidding. We got Quincy Riley, the corner from Louisville. Let's look at tight end. I think tight end is probably the most pressing. We have Jackson Hawes, who I think could be a really good blocking tight end. I've heard a lot of good things of him lately. Jake Briningstool from Clemson. CJ Dupree, the tight end from Alabama. Luke Lachey. But the only guy that I would probably take here is Jackson Hawes personally.
I would agree with that, especially because I do think he's the best run blocker.
Wide receiver, right, we have Pat Bryant, Kobe Hudson, Kyle Williams, Nick Nash, Ty Felt. I mean, these are guys that you probably want to take later. Safeties, we're looking at Upton Stout, Caleb Bransaw, Achille Arnold, Dean Clark, Elijah Clark, Kitten Crawford, RJ Mickens, Malachi Moore, Hunter Wooler.
You know what? I also don't mind looking at linebacker here, though.
Yeah, let's look at linebacker. Hopefully Noah Sewell does something. We have Kobe King, Cody Simon, Cody Lindenberg, Danny Stutzman, Jay Higgins. Anyone you like?
I think, you know what? Let's see. Hold on a minute here.
Kobe King is enticing. I don't know. I mean, this is a weird spot to be in personally. Like, I'd pretty much be okay with any of these positions. I feel like Jackson Hawes is kind of the pick.
I was gonna say, to me, it's between Jackson Hawes and Cody Simon. I just think we're getting better value right now
with Hawes.
Yeah, and then we can kind of, you know what I mean? Because I know at the same time, it also like Cody Simon, it's like much better, right? Like he's a run stopping kind of guy. It's not that he's terrible in coverage, but it's just he's targeted 43 times, 37 receptions. It's not like he's gonna be a lockdown. And again, we already kind of have our two linebackers for right now, and it's like, I don't know. You know, we need the tight end.
Right.
We don't need the linebacker.
They don't have anybody that they've been developing ever since they drafted Cole Kmet. Like, it just hasn't worked out. So we're now in the 7th rounds. This is kind of pick whoever you want. I do think that they could take a chance on a wide receiver here. We have Will Shepard, LaJohntay Wester, both Colorado, Theo Weiss Jr., Sakari Franklin from Illinois. If we want to look at safety, we have Dante Trader, Jordan Hancock, Jan Jackson from Georgia. Linebacker, we're looking at Smail Mondin Jr., Jalen Walker, Gathan Burndale. Oh, sorry, I'm butchering these names. Teddy Buchanan's still here. We can go back to the Teddy Buchanan well.
You know what? Okay. Wait. You think he'll still be there in 7 more picks?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, I think what I want to do first. Look, I saw, again, LaJohntay Wester made a lot of really good plays last year. He's got some interesting things about him, right? Like the 66.7% contested catch rate is super elite. Only the 3.9 drop rate.
What did he run? What did he run at the combine? Do you remember?
Let me double check. Hold on, I'll get
because I think a wide receiver here is realistic, honestly, with what they need. I know who was it? Arian Smith? I know he's like a very late round pick, but didn't he run like a 4.3 something?
Let me double check. Okay, so because LaJohntay ran a 4.46. He didn't test like incredible by any means, but again, some guys it's just game speed, and it's like and I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Who's the other guy?
Arian Smith, the wide receiver from Georgia.
Let's get the exact numbers here, gang. He ran a 4.36, and he definitely tested much better than LaJohntay. I mean, again,
I just think the Bears are looking for speed, but I'm not set on drafting him.
Here, let me hold on because it is tough. I would say we should go one of those two right here though.
Let's do Arian Smith.
I,
Well, LeJounte Wester has more
LaJonte Wester has a lot more there's a lot of wow plays from
production.
See, that's
There's
the
more
thing. That's what
production.
makes where I'm like that's why I don't mind it. It's because it's like especially right if we took
Let's take
MVS,
LeJounte
it's like
Wester.
we're not gonna he gets a year to kind of get acclimated. You know me and my
Yeah.
getting acclimated. Like I don't mind it at all. I think he actually could be a guy that makes plays in the league.
All right, let's finish it off with Teddy Buchanan then.
W Teddy. Teddy's meant to
Ted.
be Teddy meant to be a bear.
Teddy.
Pun fully intended.
Teddy Bear.
That's how hey man. Some jokes write themselves.
All right, now let's fill in the draft spots. We have Ashton Jeanty at 1.
Future Hall of Famer Ashton Jeanty.
So, and then wide receiver, we got LeJounte Wester. Dobbs, all right, give me your breakdown while I fill this in. We got Ashton Jeanty, Landon Jackson, Tyreek Williams, Tate Ratledge, Jackson Hawes, LeJounte Wester, and Teddy Buchanan.
All right, here's the fill-in. We addressed all of our trench needs. Hunter, we take care of the line. I'm going to drill at everyone's heads. We're going to be just fine. You got to take care of the line first. Outside of that, we took our motto and we applied it. You fill the non-premium positions, unless they're a future Hall of Famer like Ashton Jeanty, and you take the non-premium positions and you fill them later in the draft. Because then you get them super cheap on those first 4 years. And even if you have to repay them down the road, they're not going to be taking on massive contracts because their positions just don't take on tons of value. And you're getting guys where they need to be valued, and you're not overspending in any area. That's exactly how I feel about this draft. But more than anything, we took care of both sides of the line, Hunter, and that's all we can ask for. That's all the Bears fans can ask for.
Yeah.
Is them continuing to address the line. If the Eagles didn't prove to everybody last year, stopping the three-peat in dominant fashion, making themselves look like they were the team meant to go on the three-peat, right? It's taking care of the line. Taking care of the line is the only thing at the end of the day, unless you have a Pat Mahomes or a Tom Brady, that is going to get you to the promised land. And we hope that Caleb Williams can be one of those guys. But if Caleb Williams, right, can be one of those guys on top of building the line, Hunter, the Bears are on the right track, and there's no doubt about it.
100%. I mean, I think just like what the Bears have done. I mean, like, after I type this in, we'll be able to see the full draft. But I mean, this is what the Bears did this offseason. They traded for Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson. They signed Drew Dahlman, Tim Patrick, Durham Smythe, Khalil Mack, Calais Campbell, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They drafted Ashton Jeanty, LeJounte Wester, Tate Ratledge, Tyreek Williams, Landon Jackson, Teddy Buchanan. Like, this was a good offseason. Like, much better than like I could have imagined.
No, this was definitely, I think, better than the first one we did. And maybe say even because it depends how you view, right? Okay, you might be saying like, okay, Ashton Jeanty is a flashy pick, but outside of Ashton Jeanty per se, my opinion, less flashy picks, but it's the picks you need to make.
Right. I mean, if this was the Bears roster going into the 2025 season, I would be so happy.
No, I would again. I broke my mold for this, Hunter. I would normally am so against the running back, but Jeanty is the exception. When you got a guy like Jeanty, and you got the line with Dahlman, we had to slide.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been our mock off season, last mock off season of the 2025 off season. Because free agency starts Monday, we'll do some mock drafts after free agency kind of wraps up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know in the comments your favorite move, and don't forget to subscribe to the Bear Cave for more Bears content. Thank you so much.